Crimson Trace now offers a line of tactical-oriented products, including open and closed reflex sights, battle sights, and a robust line of rifle scopes, purpose-built with maximum features and versatility. Find out more at crimsontrace.com.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, it's lawsuits in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, real solutions for safer communities, hunting rifles and bullet talk, and more. And as always, call 866-TALK-GUN with your comments, questions, and range reports. Now, here's Tom.
Well, howdy. Tom Gresham here at Gun Talk. Let's talk about guns and shooting and range reports. Been out doing some shooting. We want to know about it. We want to hear about it. If you're taking somebody out to the range, if you introduce somebody to shooting, if you tried a new gun, if you tried an old gun, we're just sitting around the campfire talking about guns and shooting sports. Owning guns responsibly and safely. We're the good guys and gals. We're the ones you don't hear much about, frankly, on the news. We own the guns that the gun banners hate, but they don't know why, because they don't actually know what they are. But they just know that it's the easy target. We're going to pick the guns that we can call ugly. We'll come up with cool names for them. We'll call them assault weapons. Yeah, weapons of war. Yeah, no, actually, they're just modern sporting rifles. They're just modern rifles. Actually been around for about, 50 years in the case of the AR, 100 years in the case of the semi-automatic rifles, okay? So basically, semi-autos have been around for a long time. President Teddy Roosevelt used a semi-automatic rifle to hunt with 100 years ago. I used a semi-automatic rifle on my first deer hunt more than 50 years ago. A powerful 308 semi-automatic rifle. Yet somehow that's supposed to be something new and different and evil and awful. I don't know. Right? It's hard to figure it out sometimes. Hard to figure out what's going on. At any rate, we have all these stories this week. We've got a lot of things to talk about. We have a major loss, political loss in the state of Virginia, and it revolves around gun control. Spinning out from that effort will be pushed into other states. We also have Michael Bloomberg, the architect of the loss in Virginia, the billionaire who poured zillions of dollars into Virginia, outspent gun owners and the NRA by a factor of about 10 to 1, bought the election. And the thing is, it didn't cost him hardly anything. We'll talk about that as well. We also have a video. Have you seen the video of the East Cleveland police officer shooting a man? Well, I don't know if they hit him. Shot at him 14 times before they finally stopped the assault. He has a gun in his hands, got a woman down on the ground. Yeah, we'll talk about that and what that means to you. Because if you're not paying attention to this stuff, you're just, you don't get it. You're not understanding what's really going on here, okay? So we'll talk about that as well. It's one of those deals of, okay, I think 80% of the people think they're in the top 20% of competence with firearms. I think that's probably an impossibility. I think you probably can't do that. How do you know if you're competent? How do you know if you're actually good or good enough? Something I definitely want to talk about. How do you determine your level of competence? Also, we're moving into the winter months. Colder times. Going to get cold this week. Wearing more clothes. What's that mean for your concealed carry? What's that mean for not only concealment, but also deploying your firearm? Have you practiced that? Have you changed anything? Certainly we can talk about that. We also, of course, have the tragic massacre of the family in Mexico. 9 people killed, shot, and burned to death. Men, women, and children. And the gun ban lobby in the U.S. is blaming it on, wait for it, the gun laws of the United States of America. Because, of course, cartels and the Mexican military have to go to East Podunk, Wyoming, to a gun show to buy their firearms. Yeah, no, not really. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. We have some news about new rifles, new cartridges, new guns. We'll be talking about bullets, because I think people don't pay enough attention to bullets. as opposed to cartridges and ammunition. We'll do all of that. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. If you'd like to join us, by all means, give us a shout. Again, 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun. We'll be right back with more gun talk.
All the refinements in Smith & Wesson's M&P M2.0 pistol series shrunk to a perfect carry size in the new compact version. 4-inch barrel, light crisp M2.0 trigger, aggressively textured grip for enhanced control, 4 interchangeable palm swell inserts, 2 magazines, lifetime service policy, 15-round 9mm mag, 13-round 40 mag. The M&P M2.0 compact pistol. More at smith-wesson.com.
Attacks happen every day. How will you react? See real people put into real-life criminal attack situations on First Person Defender. Discover what works and what doesn't. Kidnapping, ATM robbery, home invasion, and other attacks. Learn how to save your life and the lives of your family. Get the entire first season on DVD at shopguntalk.com. Get prepared. shopguntalk.com.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
The Ruger pistol that started it all is now even better. The Ruger Mark IV has the same great look as the Mark III, but now its simple one-button takedown means less time taking apart your gun and more time shooting it. Disassemble it in seconds for no hassle cleaning. Learn more about the Target, Hunter, and 2245 Light Mark IV series models at Ruger.com. The Ruger Mark IV, another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
Back with you here. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. Oh, gosh, a lot of things going on in the news when it comes to guns. Gun rights and the gun ban movement, of course, the gun ban movement. They like to call themselves gun control, or now they've actually abandoned that. They figured out that the people don't actually want gun control, but they want to be safe. So now they have rebranded themselves the gun safety movement. Now, they've never taught a gun safety class. They don't know anything about actually firearms at all. But from a marketing standpoint, rebranding themselves the gun safety movement was a smart move. And so they push these ideas of trying to get, well, we can't get the public to accept that, but maybe we can get them to accept this. And once we get that, then we'll go back to the other. And that's always, look, here's the deal. I've been doing this for 50 years. I know what they do. I have seen them doing this. They want them all, and every once in a while you can get them to actually admit, yeah, the goal, of course, is eventually to get all the guns. And then they go, oh, did I say that out loud? I say, oh, no, we don't want those. We just want the, we just want the, the small guns, the little cheap handguns, the Saturday Night Specials, 50 years ago. We just want the Saturday Night Specials. Couldn't get that to fly. Okay, that didn't work. We're going to go, we just want the really big guns, the 50 caliber sniper rifles, because nobody needs a sniper rifle. But they couldn't actually come up with a definition of that, and when they tried to do it, it included all hunting rifles. So that wouldn't work. So they said, okay, we tried the little guns, we tried the big guns. Let's try the ugly guns. Okay, these are not attractive. They don't have wood on the stock. They're semi-automatic. What are those things? Oh, they call them AR-15s. We'll tell the people that stands for assault rifle. That's what we'll do. We know it doesn't. Okay, we know that's not true. But we'll convince the public that AR-15 stands for assault rifle. And it's a military gun. It's a weapon of war. And here we go. So They want them all, but they'll settle for a little bit at a time. Here's the thing, and I've been saying this forever. At its basic core, the reason you cannot agree to any of this is because it's not about a particular gun or a category of gun. It's about a concept. It's about a concept. The concept is there such thing as a good gun or a bad gun? Because if you buy into that in any form whatsoever, understand that the category of bad gun can be expanded infinitely. It can be expanded to include all guns, or at least as many guns as possible. So that's why you cannot agree to this concept of there are good guns or there are bad guns. 866 Talk Gun. Mike's called in from Cold Spring, Kentucky on 4. Hey, Mike, you're on Gun Talk. Got a range report?
I do, Tom. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
You had a gentleman on from Brownells a couple months ago. I think his name was Caleb Savant, and he talked about a project of converting an AR-15 to a 9mm.
Okay.
And I had not really thought about that, and I had an AR that I wasn't using, so I did a little bit of research. Got overwhelmed by the amount of information and stuff, so I called Brownells.
Right.
I asked for Caleb, but he wasn't available, so they hooked me up with another gentleman, and we talked through what I wanted to do, what brand I was using, asked if I had an aftermarket trigger, did some other stuff, and finally decided on what I needed. Ordered the stuff, I got it, did the conversion. That took all of 15 minutes. Because all you do is insert the mag well, and I got a full upper. I decided to just go whole hog and get the full upper.
I think that's smart. I mean, if your time is worth anything, that's smart.
Yes, and it allows me to convert back with no issues if I want to at some point.
True.
So I did the conversion. I've shot about 100 rounds through it at this point. I've had no misfeeds, no jams, no misfires. It seems to run flawlessly. So I'm very happy with the functioning of it. The question, and I have a question for you. I'm looking for some help too.
Okay.
When I tried to go to sight it in, I put a Romeo 5 red dot on it, and I sighted it in at 55 yards. I did some research on ballistics, and if at 55 yards, the 9mm dead on at 55, dead on at 25, and plus minus a half an inch from 15 yards out to a little less than 65. So it seemed like a sweet spot.
Okay.
So at 55 yards, the best that I can get out of that is about 5-inch groups. And that doesn't seem very good to me.
Yes, no.
And so for comparison, I went out, I bought a Ruger PC carbine a couple of years ago when they came out. It has a Romeo 5 on it too. I had it sighted in differently. So I set it up at the same 55 yards. And I'm shooting inch and a half groups at 55 yards all afternoon. And that seems like about where I ought to be. And so I'm struggling with what could be causing me to have, and they're both 16-inch barrels. What could be causing. Here's one other piece of data. When I got this AR, when I first got it, I'd never had an AR before. And I tried sighting it in at 75 yards, and I went through a whole lot. And I could not get that to do better than 5-inch groups at 75 yards in 223.
Really?
And I thought the scope was bad, so I bought a nice Trijicon 1-4 scopes. I got a nice scope on it. That didn't make any difference. I tried other ammo, other people. So it wasn't shooting very well with the 223 either. So I'm trying to figure out what could be going on here and why I have such a disparity between the Ruger PC carbine and my converted AR.
All right, I need to ask you a series of questions, okay? Let's see if we can help. And some of them are going to sound really dumb and simple, and we probably already know. First of all, when you couldn't get the 223 AR to shoot better than 5 inches at under 100 yards, what kind of rest are you using? It's going to sound dumb. Do you have sandbags?
Yeah, I have a sandbag at the front, and then I'm putting my hand under the back of the gun to do the fine-tuning and hold it.
Okay. I am assuming that you can shoot smaller groups than that with other rifles.
Yes.
I'm trying to eliminate the variability of you. You got that, right?
Yeah, no, I understand. I just bought a used 270 and sighted it in and was doing 1-inch groups at 100 yards with
Okay.
with the 270.
All right. So
yeah.
you know how to shoot. So we've taken care of that because, frankly, sometimes that's where the problem lies. So we have to take care of that.
I understand. Yep.
All right, so we've got that. And you could obviously shoot the Ruger PC carbine, and you get 1.5-inch groups. So now we're down to the rifle. Do you have any other ARs?
I do. I later bought a Springfield Armory Saint. I put that nice Trijicon scope on it, did the same 75 yards, and was getting 1-inch groups with that. And I was very happy with that.
Okay, so now we have locked it down to it is the firearm itself. It is the gun. And frankly, I don't know. I don't know what the issue might be. Is this a gun that you built, or is this a like a manufacturer's gun? This AR that you have?
It was a Smith & Wesson M&P Sport, their entry level. I bought it about, I guess it was 4 years ago, when they had the Pulse nightclub shooting, and they were talking about banning ARs. And I said, I better get one. Everybody's got one. I better go get one. So it was a stock M&P Sport. Okay,
that helps me. Here's what I'm going to suggest. This is going to sound really simplistic, but I really think it's going to be your quickest avenue to get where you need to go, which is I would put it back together as a 223.
Okay.
I would contact Smith & Wesson and say, I got one of your rifles that won't shoot better than 5 inches at 75 yards. And you're going to do a little back and forth, and then they're going to finally say, send it back to us.
Okay.
Because honestly, since they made it, and they don't want you, trust me on this. I know the guys at Smith. They hate it right now that you are on national radio talking about a Smith & Wesson rifle that doesn't shoot any better than that, and they're just screaming right now, Tom, tell him to send it back. We want to make it right.
So even though I bought it 4 years ago or so, they'll still...
Oh, yeah.
Still look at it.
Yeah, just contact me and say, hey, guys, I got a problem here. I've tried everything I know what to do. Can I send it back to you? Now, they may... Here's the thing. If they get it and they shoot it and go, man, we're shooting 1-inch groups with it, I don't know. But my guess is because of all the questions that we've asked so far, I know that you can shoot and you know how and your technique is okay, and you've swapped optics, so we've eliminated the optic variable. It's got to be the rifle. And look, stuff happens. When they're cranking out a gazillion of them, you can get one that goes, man, that thing just won't shoot for beans. Give them a chance to take another swing at that, okay?
What doesn't make sense to me is why the lower, because that's the only thing that's left, right, is the lower. How would that, I just can't fathom how that's impacting the accuracy in either one of those configurations.
Right, and I don't know. And look, I freely admit, it's interesting you asking these questions right now because I'm about to, this coming weekend, going to take a carbine class using ARs. That's one of the areas that I'm not as strong on, and I need to really get up to speed on taking them apart, what makes them accurate, the whole deal. I got a good buddy who is a competitive shooter. He's an 8R guru, and I'm just going to tell him, hey, show me the insides of this. How do we tune these? How do we make them work? And, of course, there are a zillion YouTube videos on all of that, too. Of course, that's where you go to learn things these days. But in your case, because you have a factory rifle, I am going to suggest that you contact Smith and let them have a chance to make it right and get you a rifle that shoots, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
And do me a favor. Once you get it figured out, because I'm puzzled by this as well, give us a call back and give us a report on what happened, okay?
Okay, I will do that.
I appreciate it, Mike. Listen, take care. Let's see here. Real quick, we're going to get Brian in here on line 2 out of Virginia. Brian, what just happened in Virginia? You guys got a mess on your hands.
We do. I'm looking at moving to Tennessee or North Carolina possibly.
I have actually heard several people in Virginia say, look, I'm putting my house up for sale. I'm leaving the state. And let me back up for people that don't know. In Virginia, just had the election. Bloomberg poured millions of dollars into it, bought up all this advertising. He flipped the legislature to Democrat. You got a Democrat governor who has said, send me every gun control law you can think of. I will sign everything from gun bans to one gun a month rationing to magazine bans to bans on ARs. I mean, send me everything. I'll sign all of it. And they're going to. This is going to happen. You're going to get gun rationing. You're going to get every form of experimental gun control law that's ever been in California or New York or Massachusetts or any other place. It's all going to happen in Virginia now.
It is, and also there's the red flag laws, and I keep having friends ask me this, do you think this is going to happen? I said, yeah. I said, he said that's his number one priority, that and the raised minimum wage, but he's mentioned gun control. That was the big thing.
It's a done deal. I mean, anybody who's thinking, is this going to happen? No, it's over. It's going to happen. And this was the Petri dish. This was the test bed to say, can we do this here? And they said, they spent $2.5 million to $5 million here. That's nothing. There's nothing. They can do that in every state. Easy, easy, easy. They can quadruple that spend in every state, and it's still not any money. I had somebody say, well, we'll let Bloomberg come on in. We'll let him waste $100 million of his money on that campaign. And I said, look, let me just run some numbers for you. $100 million represents 0.2% of Michael Bloomberg's personal worth. 0.2%. That's the kind of money we're talking about here.
And the bad thing is that if you look at the way the state voted as far as individual counties, 75% voted Republican, but it's the number of people in Northern Virginia and Richmond and just a few other places that there were so many people and they represent such a large, portion that's what got in.
And that's what happens in every state. I mean, whatever state you're in, I want you to think about it. I'll bet you I could go in and buy the advertising in 3 markets, 3 cities, and I can reach 70 to 80% of the people in the state. Hitting 3 cities. If it's Colorado, and it's really easy. I mean, you basically do Denver in the corridor, north and south. If it's Oregon, you do Portland. You've got most of them right there. Pick a state, you can do that, and that's the model. And these guys are smart. They've got it figured out. The question is, do we know how to move people? Do we know how to get people out there? And right now, we're being outspent 10-1. And I'm not sure, a little bit later on in the show today, we're going to be talking with the National Shooting Sports Foundation, see if they have some thoughts on this. But the one thing I can tell you, Brian, is hold on. Don't move quite yet, because we have some cases coming to the Supreme Court that may undo a lot of this stuff. A lot of these laws that they're passing, if we can get strict scrutiny approved and required from the Supreme Court as a way to measure Second Amendment cases, it basically builds a wall for a lot of these gun control cases, gun control laws, and frankly, I think it will undo a lot of them. So you may not want to move now, but you may want to start cleaning up your house and getting it ready. 866-TALK-GUN. This is Gun Talk.
Good morning, Mr. Gresham. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to host a radio show that will bring truth and common sense to the discussion of firearms rights in this country. Good luck, Tom, to you and your Tom Gresham's Gun Talk team.
Hey, we got a big old giveaway going on. This is amazing. We got a giveaway going on involving Alien Gear holsters, ATN, Federal Premium, Liberty Safe, Mantis, and Ruger. Grand prize is $5,300 worth of stuff. Cool stuff. Alien Gear carry prize package, a shape shift core carry pack, grip tuck, universal holster goes on, 2 holster combo. From ATN, that incredible Thor LT, the 3-6X thermal rifle scope. Thermal. Oh, if you've never used thermal, you're in for a treat. Federal Premium, you're getting a case of trophy bonded tip 308 and 2 cases of Hydroshock deep 9mm ammo. Liberty Safe, throwing in a United We Stand flag safe. Mantis X10 shooting performance system. Ruger Security 9 compact, and an American rifle and 308 Winchester. All of that. Somebody's going to win the whole deal. $5,300 worth of stuff. Go to guntalk.com/win. WIN. Simple as that. I was talking earlier about this election that was held last week in Virginia. Virginia went all Democrat in the legislature. The governor, it's Governor Blackface, the guy got in so much trouble. He has promised that he will sign any gun control bill that is put in front of him. The Democrats in the Virginia legislature have, for several years, tried to pass pretty much everything. Gun rationing, 1 gun a month. And for those who don't understand how important that is, imagine like this past week, I went and picked up a gun, actually a couple of NFA items that had come in, been waiting for a year. Paperwork came in, picked them up. The next day I go to a local gun store, look at their used stuff, and there is a beautiful little Ruger single action 44 special flat top at a crazy good price, and said, yeah, I want that one. So I bought it. 2 guns in 2 days. Whoa, can't do that. Not in Virginia. In fact, I couldn't have picked up my NFA items because there were 2 firearms there. Couldn't have picked them both up. Have to wait a month, 30 days between purchases. That's the gun rationing system. But they're going to be looking at universal background checks, red flag laws, a ban on semi-automatic firearms, maybe rifles and handguns, because the way they've written the laws is any semi-automatic that takes a detachable magazine would be banned. Oh, yeah, that would include all semi-automatic pistols. Huh. Unintended consequences, huh? And now there are some people, I've actually heard from people saying, yeah, my friend is a Democrat, and he voted for the Democrats, but he owns a bunch of guns. And then when he asked me about it, I told him what was going to happen. He said, well, you've got to be kidding me. I didn't know that. And you're going, okay. You know, when you're stupid or you're ignorant, and the two are not necessarily the same, sometimes they are, but when you don't know what's going on and you make uninformed decisions, it comes back to bite you. In this case, there are going to be an awful lot of gun owners who are going to be really surprised and go, well, I didn't know that's what it meant. Yeah. Let's see, because you're not paying attention to the emails you're getting from the Second Amendment Foundation, from the NRA. Pick your gun group, Gun Owners of America, National Shooting Sports Foundation. They were all getting the information out about this. But Bloomberg went in there and outspent the NRA. And not true. The NRA is in a very weakened state now, brought on through the incompetence and many would say the corruption of those at the top. They're not leaving. I have called for Wayne's resignation. It ain't happening. And he's got the votes on the board. He's not going to leave. I mean, they would have to take him out of there under duress and handcuffs to get him out of there. I don't know what the Attorney General of New York has planned. Who knows? So it's a mess. And what has happened is we have been weakened, we on the gun rights front, by this. And we have a lot of people who simply don't pay attention. They don't listen to gun talk. They're not going online daily like I am and looking at the gun rights stories. And if you're not doing that, how are you going to be informed? Here's a question for you. How would you know what's going on if you don't actively work to get it? Well, they didn't tell me. It's not their job. It's your job to be informed. It is a burden. It is a duty. You are required. If you're going to be a good citizen, you're required to be informed. If the Second Amendment is important to you, you need to be making an active effort to know what's going on. So what do we get out of this? We get, let's see, Virginia goes blue. Virginia goes gun ban happy. And they're going to take that model and drop it into other states, because trust me, pick a state. I don't care what it is. Tennessee. Just pick a state at random. How many markets do you think you'd have to buy DMAs? How many do you think you would have to purchase advertising for to cover 70% of the people? I bet it's 3. I bet it's 3 in practically every state. And Bloomberg has so much money, it is impossible, really, to comprehend how much money he has. As I say, people say, oh, let him spend $100 million running for president. Yeah, as I said, run the numbers. He's worth $50 billion. And if I did my calculator right, I think that amounts to $100 million, amounts to 0.2% of his net worth. He could spend $100 million times 5 or times 10. Because $1 billion is 0.2% of his net worth. You can purchase it. And for those who go, yeah, stop. Just stop. Listen to me. He can win. Let me just tell you this. He can win. Not just the Democratic nomination. He can win the election. He has a huge organization. Remember when he used to have the illegal mayors against guns? At least that's what I call them. He called it the mayors against illegal guns. But they kept getting charged and convicted and sent to prison, so I started calling them the illegal mayors against guns. He has a network of big city mayors who support him. He has all of this national mechanism he's created through the Every Town for Gun Safety and the Moms Demand Action. He has citizen soldiers on the streets with these groups that are already there. They're ready for him. They are wanting to help with his candidacy. Make no mistake, if he seriously wants to get into this, he will be a viable candidate. And all those clowns that have been up on the stage so far, and yeah, by the way, he'd be smart enough to have avoided all of that silliness. None of them offer a lot of resistance for him because they were all just goofballs at this point. What does that mean? What's our takeaway from that? Well, we all had better get involved. We all had better be serious about this. We better stay informed, get informed, bring our friends and neighbors into it, talk it up with everybody we know. Start spending some money. Start making some donations to the Trump campaign, to the Republican campaign, to the gun rights groups of your choice. Now, I'm not talking about sending $5 or $10. I'm not sending $100. Oh, that's a lot of money. Is it? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to open your gun safe or open your closet and look at how many guns you have and tell me what they're worth. Just ballpark it for me. $5,000? Probably. Will you spend $100 to keep them? There it is. You can either spend it now or you can fight it later, and fighting it later is a really rough way to go. 866-TALK-GUN. What have you been shooting? What have you been buying? And oh yeah, have you been doing any hunting? A buddy of mine just got him a nice 2x2 little 4-point muley. Cool. Love getting those pictures. 866-TALK-GUN.
You need a shotgun. You really do. Home defense, hunting, tactical, target, competition. Mossberg. Yes, Mossberg. That's all you need to know. Pumps, autos, over-unders, extended mags, detachable box mags, sights, slings, 12, 20, 28, and 410. Wood synthetic, rugged metal coatings. And of course, the revolutionary Shockwave. Not technically a shotgun, but it's awesome. Short, powerful, and life-saving. Making rugged guns for Americans for 100 years. Find your shotgun at mossberg.com.
It's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. I'm Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. When someone says we don't need that kind of gun, remind them the Founding Fathers determined what rights our Constitution should protect. There's a world of difference between rights and needs. It is not the function of government to tell us what we need or what we don't. Certainly no one needs an assault rifle or a Saturday Night Special, or for that matter, no one needs a Corvette with a high-capacity horsepower engine capable of speeds to 150 miles per hour. But in the hands of honest, responsible individuals, we have the right of choice. We have the right to read books others don't like. We have the right to listen to any radio program we choose. We have the right to dress the way we want to. We also have the right to own firearms of our choice. So the next time someone tells you you don't need something, tell them it's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. Join the Second Amendment Foundation today so that this message and our Bill of Rights might live. Call 425-454-7012. That's 425-454-7012.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at timneytriggers.com.
Weird question for you. Are you good enough? How good are you? Are you competent with your personal protection firearm, with your carry gun? I've been thinking about that. It's actually something I asked a bunch of pilot friends about. So 15, 20 years ago, we were all sitting around and said, how do you know if you're a good pilot? It's kind of like that. I went, oh? So my question for you is this. How do you know if you are good with your concealed carry firearm? Because somebody said, hey, 80% of the people think they're in the top 20%. And I'm not a math major, but I think that's probably impossible. So how do you know where you are? Well, the truth of it is, obviously, half the people are below average. And even if you are in the top half, are you close to the top? How good do you have to be? I don't know. Here's the problem. When the test is given, it'll be a pop quiz. You're not going to know it's coming. It's going to be boom, and you have 1 or 2 or 3 seconds to respond. And however well you do is what it is. Here's a question for you. If I said, okay, I will give you $1 million if you can make that shot. You have to hit a 4-inch circle at 7 yards with your carry gun. I'll give you $1 million if you can do that. Oh, yeah. And if you miss, I will take everything you own. Whoa, what would you do? You would probably really pay attention to the shot. You would probably slow down just a little bit. Did you happen to catch this week the video was making the rounds out of East Cleveland? Police officers. There's a man, they were called out on a man raping a woman. And you see this big guy standing there on the grass. He's got a gun in his left hand. This woman is down at his feet. He's holding on to her, kind of dragging her around. And his cops are like behind their cars, and they're yelling at him, drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun. Same old deal, right? I don't know why they waited so long. But finally they started shooting. And you can count the gunshots, and he's staggering around. He's like, okay. What you can't tell is how many of the shots were hits. That's what we don't know. But they fired 11 shots before he finally went down, but he didn't go down all the way. And then after the woman crawled away, they shot 3 more times. So 14 shots. While he's holding a gun, while he's holding on to this woman, he could so easily have just turned and shot her and killed her. He could have shot at the police officers. He never did. Why did it take 14 shots? Well, this is really maybe a 2-part answer. One is that we don't know how many were hits, and we don't know where the hits were. But the other thing is sometimes it just takes a while for bullets to work. They're kind of like medicine that way. Simple fact is, if you don't hit them in the right place, you're not going to affect them very much. And that's why we do what we call the failure drill. 2 to the body, 1 to the head. If you shoot twice to the body and he doesn't fall, no, take that back. Shoot to the body, go to the head, period. If the head's still there, shoot it. Don't wait to find out. Don't assess. Don't shoot and assess. Is he still there? No. When you make the decision, I am going to shoot 2 to the body and 1 to the head. If the head's there, I'm going to shoot it. Why would I do that? Because we have to shut this thing down. This person is a massive threat to you and your family. Okay? Just a massive threat to you and your family. You've got to shut this down. You do that. And look, I know this sounds grisly sometimes, but you do it by lowering blood pressure, which means you make them leak blood, okay? Or you shut down the central nervous system, which means basically a shot to the head. It takes a while for them to leak out so the blood pressure drops enough to where they fall down. But the center of the body is the easier place to hit. It's a better target. The caliber you're using doesn't really matter all that much, although you're much better off with a long gun than a handgun, if you have that option. Rifles and shotguns simply hit harder, do more damage, okay? How do you know if you're good? Well, you go test yourself. You go get training. You practice. You shoot with other people. Maybe you enter competitions. And then, heavens, go get some force-on-force training, because that is the reset. That's the NTOT. That's the I never thought of that moment. Holy cow, what just happened? It happened so fast. Yeah, and it's going to. It will be a pop quiz. The only question is, are you going to pass? Hey, I know you saw the story about the family in Mexico, Mormon family, 9 people murdered by the cartel, maybe members of the military. Who knows? It's hard to tell the difference these days. And yet some of the media here, some of the gun control groups, the gun ban groups said, well, you know, the problem with all that murder in Mexico is that we have lax gun control laws. We have, I love the term, permissive gun control laws in the U.S., and that's where they're getting their guns. Yeah, really? They buy shiploads of guns from China. They bring them in from Colombia. They bring them in from Honduras. But they need to go to the mom and pop gun show in Tyler, Texas. Yeah, no, that's just stupid. Of course, that's what the whole Fast and Furious Eric Holder, Barack Obama gun running scheme was. The whole idea of that was we need to pass gun control laws in the U.S. How will we do that? Let's shove a bunch of guns into Mexico from the U.S., have them purchased illegally in the U.S. while we're watching. Let them commit the crime. Let them go into the cartels. We're not even going to try to track them. We're not even going to attempt to track them. Then we're going to let them show up at murder sites, and we will say, see, U.S. guns are being used to kill people in Mexico. That's how cold-blooded and calculated their gun control effort is and was. The Fast and Furious Eric Holder gun running scheme was about making sure that U.S. guns are used to murder people, and then we would use that as a way to try to restrict gun rights in the U.S. That was the beginning and the end of it. It worked exactly. People say, well, yeah, that was a failed. No, it was not a failed scheme. It worked perfectly for them. There was never an intention to track guns. The intention was to let these guns be used to murder people. And then we'll use that as ammunition to push gun control laws. And that's what's going on here. Now, contrast that with what just happened in Florida, where a woman who is 8 months pregnant used an AR-15 to shoot and kill a home intruder who was beating her husband and took a shot at her. Gee, couldn't do that in Mexico because you couldn't have that gun there. Huh. There you go. Kenneth in East Texas on line 4. Kenneth, I got about a minute. Dive in, please.
Yes, sir. And sorry I had you on the Bluetooth for just a second.
That's all right. Go for it.
We got to get active in our 4-H groups and all over the place in these rural areas that have 4-H. I would encourage your listeners to.
Oh, man. Tell you what, Stu, put Kenneth back on hold. Talk to him. We'll bring him in after the next break here because he's got that Bluetooth goofy thing kicking in and out, and he can't tell which microphone is working. You know, these cell phones we have are wonders of technology, except that sometimes we're trying to outsmart them while they're trying to outsmart us. And so there's that. We'll get him back on here, okay? I was talking earlier about how good are you? Are you good enough? Can you make the shot? Here's the deal. If you're shooting, if you have to draw and shoot 7 yards, right? Okay, just pick 7 yard, and you draw and shoot. If your groups are 8 inches in diameter on the target, you're not good enough. They need to be about 3 inches, drawing and shooting fairly quickly. If they're larger than 3 inches, you need to either slow down or get more training or get more practice. Why is that? Because the 3 inches will become 6 inches or 7 inches in the heat of the moment. But if you're shooting at a piece of paper that's not shooting back at you and you can't shoot a 3-inch group at 7 yards, something's wrong. You are, in fact, incompetent. There it is. And if I said, okay, I will give you $1 million to make that shot, you could do it, right? What would happen? You would slow down. Okay, then slow down. With all of your practice, don't let your groups get bigger and then start speeding up until the group gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then keep working on your technique at that speed, and then the group will get smaller and smaller and smaller. Hard focus on the front sight. Don't yank the trigger. Don't pull the trigger. Press the trigger. Think that word, stretch it out. Press. You're just pressing the trigger, trying to press it backwards without disturbing the sights. If none of this is making any sense to you, you need to get yourself to a good shooting school. Well, that costs money. Yeah, really? What's a funeral cost? What's it going to be like if you can't protect your family? Then you'll be saying, boy, I sure wish I'd gone to that shooting school. 866-TALK-GUN. If you got a thought on this, you think I'm just crazy, call me.